So, hello, and welcome. You are here with me on the Erica Glessing Show. I have a fabulous light worker with me today, and his gifts are so amazing. I just love reading his posts and his contributions on social media. And I actually found him and recruited him myself. So, please welcome with me Starr Lewis. Hi, Starr.
Hi, Erica. Thank you so much for having me today.
Where are we? Where am I talking to you from? I'm in California.
I am all the way in New Jersey, East Coast.
East Coast, West Coast. Hmm. So, one of the things that I was curious about, and we talked a little in our pre chat, is kind of your mission. And why don't you just kind of share with people your vision, your mission, and kind of your intention right now, your purpose?
So, what my mission is, it's the new chronology. And what the new chronology is, it's people going from a 3D consciousness up to a 5D consciousness. And it's also about unity, but it starts with self empowerment. Because only when we really feel that love for ourselves and we're truly empowered can we actually embrace unity and really get to that 5D consciousness.
What do you think kind of it's because, like, when you say self empowerment and when you say kind of seeing ourselves as part of the whole, it seems like there's a lot of blockages. And what are some of those that you kind of identify, and what can we do to overcome them?
So I think one of the blockages is how people view unity. And that's basically people think that unity has to be with being the same. And that's not necessarily the case. Because even when we think about our bodies, for instance, we have like nail cells, we have brain cells, we have muscle cells. They all operate differently, but they still make up who you are. So because they have their individual functions doesn't take away from the unity of who you are. And it's the same thing with us as being part of this universe, the whole grand plan.
I love it. That's a really beautiful insight. It's interesting. One of the things that I was studying just maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago had to do with how each of our, like, soul codes, each of our connectivity is unique, and that kind of takes away, like, we don't really have to worry about imposter syndrome. Like, we don't really have to worry about being like someone else because we are so unique. And why don't you share a little bit of insight into kind of what, well, if this is too personal, like, what makes Star tick?
So I would say, and it's not too personal, and I actually love that question. It's definitely authenticity for sure. And when I fully became authentic with myself, it was really the only thing I could accept around me and the only thing I attract around myself. So there's a point to where when you truly find out who you are and you really embrace that and you really love that, your environment starts to change because you changed as a person. So once we understand that, then we understand that the things that are happening around us necessarily aren't bad, but they're really just to align with who you really are. And that's basically who you found yourself to be.
Mm, I'm sorry. I'm being a little tiny bit entertained by my horse, who's behaving very silly right now outside. And he just, like, ran into the lady that's cleaning his stall, like he wants her to stop cleaning and give him love. So, in the spirit of there are no mistakes, tell us a little bit about that. Like, when we, like, if we look at animals and when they need love, they just come up and they just take it, right? They just rub on you and they just, like, love on you and they're like, give me love. What can humans do when they kind of feel like they want affection or connection to other beings, given kind of the, and we talked a little bit of this on our pre-chat, like how COVID kind of just exacerbated all the separation.
So I think what COVID actually did, I think it showed people that even though we were going to work and we were seeing people every day, we weren't really connected. And even though whether you were doing something online or you're doing something in, excuse me, in person, It definitely revealed that we definitely were not very connected as we should be, even though we were seeing each other face to face. So I think when we use animals, for example, as you were saying, when they need something, even when my dog needs water, if I forget to fill up her water bowl, she'll just go lick it to the point to where I could hear it from across the house. It's it's just about being direct. But if we can't be
Right?
direct with ourselves, like for instance, if you don't know that you need affection, if you don't know that you need that support, how can you go and ask for someone else to do that if you're not doing it for yourself?
That's a really good point. And why don't we shift gears just a little bit and tell me a little bit about, like, I know that we both written or worked in law of attraction. Tell me a little bit about some of the ways you've seen someone able to really create and be generative about their path.
So one of the best ways, definitely I would have to say, is one of my actually newest friends, and it's not being afraid to one make mistakes, because if you're afraid to make mistakes, you're not going to accomplish anything. And then even before that, you have to set a very clear intention about what you want. Most people, they'll say, for instance, I want a lot of money, or I want to go and do this. But are you really setting a clear intention to where you know exactly what it looks like? You know where you're going to be. You don't necessarily know how you're going to get there, but are you packed and ready to go if the car or the ride was to show up right now?
And what happens when someone, this is going to sound so weird, but it's showing up, so I'm just going to go with it. Let's say I say something like, okay, I'd like to manifest, $7,000 by April 2nd. Is is it something where the time and the date can mess with it? Or maybe just tell me if I'm seeking abundance. I know almost everybody wants abundance, right? Like, who doesn't want more money and more abundance? Tell me a little bit of your insider view on what are the things that actually work in that space.
So the one thing that I think a lot of people are missing with it, with affirmations, you could say an affirmation all day long, but if you don't believe it, it's not going to work. And what that ultimately comes down to is understanding the difference between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Our conscious minds are very analytical, they're very logical. So anytime that we say something to it, it's always trying to find facts and to try to prove it. So if you're trying to change as a person or change something about yourself or even change your abundance, if let's say someone's having bill problems and they say, I'm abundant, but right when they're saying I'm abundant and that little voice in their head is saying, you're a liar, the affirmations the affirmation is not going to
Right.
work, so you have to find a way to where, for instance, like in that situation, even something, I might have these bills right now, but I choose to focus on abundance. Your logical mind can't argue with that because you're still identifying, okay, these bills they're here, but I'm choosing to focus on something else.
Hmm. Yeah, and one of the things that showed up for me just right when you were saying that is the power of gratitude, and just the power of kind of being in awe, or being of.
It's also being in a state of love too, and like love, gratitude, joy, all three of them to me are exactly the same frequency. So if you could find just things to be grateful for just throughout the day, that's going to attract abundance just by itself. But the whole thing is it's about consistency. So one other thing I like to tell people also when they're doing affirmations, it's good to do affirmations in the middle, like at the beginning of the day, middle of the day, and at the end. But it's really about changing your mindset. It's not about ticking off saying, okay, I did it 9 times or I did it 20 times. It's about, is it actually sinking into your subconscious? Are you actually doing things now that are lining up with these affirmations? Because it doesn't make any sense to say, I'm abundant, and then your friends coming up to you talking to you about how they're struggling with bills, and then you're agreeing with them. That's taken away from your affirmation.
Absolutely. And really what I just heard you say was like the sort of heart coherence. It's like a what I say, what my body expresses, what I do, what I believe. getting into coherence. Is that kind of what you're talking about a little bit?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It definitely is. It's making sure that your thoughts and your actions all align.
So what if you have like a big wild hairy, big juicy vein that shows up and you're like and it feels right, like you're going to be, I'm just saying, like on Oprah. Like I'm not saying I want to be on Oprah because honestly I don't. But but let's say you had this like big, I call them big ass juicy hairy goals, and I know I'm not probably allowed to say that. So hopefully I said it fast enough that I won't get caught. But go ahead and just share with me, like, what if you get like a really big, wild, exciting, lights me up thing?
So one other thing I tell people too is, when you start on this journey of not just self-discovery, but of manifestation, of being intentional about what you want to create in your life, you can't be surprised when these doors and opportunities start showing up. So it goes
Mm,
back to the abundance thing. It's okay, I have multiple sources of income. If you have three people coming up to you trying to talk to you about business opportunities, I'm not saying you should sign them right away, but it's probably the universe telling you that something's in the works for you.
mm. That's interesting too. One of the things I talk about is being a yes.
Mm,
And it seems like so often our default is no, especially like, and I'm just going to do one thing that's so uncomfortable is in LinkedIn when 20 strangers say, I want to sell you this and you really need to buy it. Right. And
mm,
they've never heard of me. They obviously don't know my platform considering some of the things I've been offered. Right. um, and my no thing comes, it becomes almost like, you know what I mean, like it becomes almost like a kick in. I don't know how to say it exactly. And what you're telling me is if we are asking for change, maybe just explore a little bit with me how we say yes better, or how we open up to being a yes.
So what it comes down to is really being in tune with your intuition, because every situation is going to be a little bit different for everyone. So when you're in tune with your intuition and you're in tune with your goals, and going back to coherence, as you were saying, every action you take is going to be right. But if you have this little thought or even this belief in the back of your head that it's too good to be true, or, I might make a mistake here, those beliefs are actually going to actually hold you back from what could actually be in front of you. And going back to what you were saying about the 20 different things or people that were reaching out to you, if none of them gave you a good vibe to it, then that's not the answer. But if out of the 20 of them you're like, maybe I should explore this guy a little bit, I don't know like what it is about him, that might be the door opening up for you. But if you're not confident in yourself, you're not confident in the things that you're doing, and you're not coherent, you're not going to be able to see those opportunities even if they're right in front of you.
And let's just talk a little bit more about this conversation. I believe that a lot of people are coming back from the clouds of COVID, and I don't know why I brought that up today because I feel so much from it. But um, in the spirit of expansion, and in the spirit of like being different and being connected to spirit, being connected to the stars, being connected to source, what are some tools or ways that people can experience a greater degree of connectivity?
So one of the easiest ways is crystals. And there's been a very big trend with crystals lately, especially clear quartz, and definitely for good reasons. The reason I say for clear quartz is because clear quartz is good for the crown chakra, and it opens up your crown chakra. It could also align it very well too. But even if you just meditate with clear quartz after setting an intention that I want to connect to my guides, my galactic guides, ancestral guides, any of your guides, you will absolutely get a connection from it. It might not happen right away, but as you keep setting that intention and you keep meditating towards it, they will definitely reach out.
Wow. It feels like I could just have conversations with you every day, but let's maybe wrap up this one, and why don't you tell people how they can reach you and find out more? And again, if you missed the beginning, we are joined today by the very gifted and wonderful Starr Lewis.
So you could reach me at divinecenter.love. That's my website. Or you can also find me on Facebook by just looking up Starr Lewis.
Great. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.